The internet didn't just react, it erupted overnight. Because what started as quiet whispers behind closed doors has now exploded into one of the most shocking, uncomfortable, and jaw-dropping celebrity controversies anyone has seen in years. And at the center of it all, Kandi Burruss and Todd Tucker. But this isn't just relationship drama. This is something far deeper, far more personal. And, according to insiders, something that was hidden for a very long time. Late last night, a series of claims started circulating, at first dismissed as rumors, until alleged messages, cryptic audio clips, and insider statements began surfacing all at once. And suddenly, what seemed unbelievable started feeling a little too real. Because according to these explosive reports, Todd has allegedly reached a breaking point, and what he's hinting at could completely shatter the image fans have believed for years. We're talking about private dynamics, secret tensions, situations that were never meant to leave behind closed doors. And now, they are being dragged into the spotlight in the most public way possible. But here's where it gets even more intense. Sources are claiming this didn't come out of nowhere. They say there have been arguments, heated ones, emotional confrontations that built up over time, until something finally snapped. And now, instead of silence, there are hints of exposure. And the internet, completely divided. Some are defending. Others are questioning everything. Because if even a fraction of these claims are true, then this isn't just a scandal. It's a full-blown unraveling. The moment those first claims started circulating, everything changed in an instant. What began as quiet chatter in niche blogs suddenly exploded across every major platform, dragging Todd Tucker and Kandi Burruss straight into the center of a storm nobody saw coming. At first, fans didn't know what to believe. The posts were vague, cryptic, almost too shocking to feel real. But then came the receipts, or at least, what looked like them. Screenshots. Blurry at first, then clearer with each repost. Messages allegedly exchanged between Todd and someone close to him, filled with frustration, confusion, and a tone that felt off. Not angry at first, just tired. Drained. Like someone who had been holding something in for far too long. One message, in particular, stopped people in their tracks. I didn't sign up for this. I stayed quiet because I had to. That single line detonated across the internet. What did he mean by this? What had he been staying quiet about? And why now? Fans started digging immediately. Old interviews resurfaced. Clips from reality TV moments were reanalyzed frame by frame. Even seemingly harmless jokes from years ago were suddenly being viewed in a completely different light. And then, just as speculation reached a boiling point, a second leak dropped. Audio. Short. Tense. And impossible to ignore. A voice, believed by many to be Todd, speaking in a low, controlled tone. Not shouting. Not panicking. Just, done. There are things people don't understand, things that were pushed on me. That word, pushed, changed everything. Because now the narrative wasn't just about secrets. It was about pressure. About control. And the internet. Completely split. Some people immediately rushed to defend Kandi Burruss, calling the leaks fake, manipulated, or taken out of context. Others weren't so sure. They pointed to the tone, the consistency, the way everything seemed to line up just enough to feel believable. But while the public was arguing, behind the scenes, things were escalating fast. According to insiders, this situation didn't just explode overnight. There had been tension building for months. Quiet disagreements turning into heated arguments, private discussions turning into emotional standoffs. One source claims there was a confrontation just days before the leaks began. Not a small one. A full-blown argument. Voices raised. Accusations thrown. And at one point, according to that source, Todd allegedly said something that left the room completely silent. "I can't keep pretending this is normal." That line spread like wildfire once it hit private circles. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about rumors anymore. It was about a breaking point. And then came the twist nobody expected. Because while everyone was focused on Todd's alleged words, attention shifted back to Kandi. Not because she spoke out, but because she didn't. Complete silence. No posts. No reactions. No denials. And that silence, it started to feel louder than anything else. Fans began questioning it. Some said she was staying above the drama. Others believed she was waiting, watching, deciding her next move carefully. But insiders, they had a different story. According to multiple sources, that silence wasn't calm. It was strategic. Because behind the scenes, there were already conversations happening. Decisions being made. And more importantly, information being reviewed. Because here's what most people didn't know at the time. There were more messages. A lot more. And not all of them were from Todd. Some allegedly showed exchanges between Kandi and close friends. Conversations that hinted at private lifestyle choices, personal boundaries, and disagreements that had been kept hidden for years. Nothing confirmed. Nothing officially released. But enough to make people wonder just how deep the situation really went. And then, the biggest bombshell of all dropped. A burner account, created just hours earlier, posted a thread that sent shockwaves through every platform. It didn't just make claims. It told a story. Detailed. Specific. And honestly, unsettling. The thread described alleged private situations, repeated patterns, and moments where, according to the post, things went too far, where lines were blurred, and where not everyone involved was comfortable. No proof was attached. But the level of detail. It had people frozen. Because either it was completely fabricated, or it came from someone who knew far too much. And buried deep in that thread was a sentence that changed everything: "He has more than words. He has proof." Proof. That word alone flipped the entire narrative. Because suddenly, the conversation shifted from "is this real?" to "what else is out there?" And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any more intense, something unexpected happened. A private message, allegedly from Todd, was leaked. Short. Direct. And impossible to ignore. "I tried to protect her. But I won't protect this anymore." That was it. But it hit like a shockwave. Because if that message is real, then this situation isn't just about rumors or misunderstandings. It's about exposure. And possibly, retaliation. And just minutes after that message started spreading, a new development dropped that has everyone asking the same question: did someone just try to stop this before it went any further? The moment that question hit the timeline, everything shifted. Because just as the conversation reached its peak, the trail started going cold. Posts vanished. Entire threads, gone without warning. Screenshots that had been circulating for hours suddenly became unavailable. Even fan accounts that were aggressively reposting every update went silent at the exact same time. And that's when the whispers began. Someone stepping in. At first, people brushed it off. But then more evidence started stacking up. According to insiders, there were active efforts happening behind the scenes to contain the situation, before it spiraled into something completely uncontrollable. Because by now, this wasn't just trending. This was dominating everything. And at the center of the storm, Todd Tucker was reportedly under intense pressure from multiple directions. Sources claim his phone hadn't stopped ringing. Advisors, friends, even industry contacts reaching out, trying to figure out what was real, what could be proven, and what needed to be shut down immediately. But here's the problem. It was already out. And the more they tried to contain it, the worse it got. Because just when people thought the leaks were slowing down, a new drop hit that changed everything. A full message thread. Long, detailed, and impossible to ignore. Unlike the earlier screenshots, this one wasn't blurry. It wasn't vague. It was sharp, clear, and filled with back and forth messages that painted a picture far more complicated than anyone had imagined. The tone, tense, emotional, at times, even desperate. One message, allegedly from Todd, read, "I told you I wasn't comfortable, but you kept pushing it like it was nothing." That line alone sent shockwaves through the internet. Because now, the narrative wasn't just about secrets. It was about boundaries. And whether they had been crossed. But what came next? That's what really shook people. Because the reply, allegedly from Kandi Burruss, didn't deny anything. Instead, it reportedly said, "You knew what this was from the beginning." Cold, direct, and completely unapologetic. Fans didn't know how to react. Some immediately called the messages fake, edited, taken out of context. Others said the tone felt too real to ignore, that it matched the tension that had been building publicly for days. But while the internet was arguing over authenticity, something much bigger was happening behind closed doors. Because according to multiple insiders, a private meeting had already taken place. No cameras. No phones. Just a closed-door conversation between the people at the center of everything. And it did not go well. Sources describe it as explosive. Voices raised within minutes. Accusations thrown from both sides. Years of unresolved tension spilling out all at once. At one point, according to someone who claims to have knowledge of the meeting, Todd allegedly slammed his hand on the table and said, "I'm done being quiet about this." That line alone has been repeated across multiple platforms, because if it's true, it confirms what many were already starting to believe. This isn't slowing down. It's escalating. And just when it seemed like that confrontation was the peak, another leak surfaced. Audio. Longer this time. Clearer. And far more intense. The clip allegedly captures part of that same meeting, or at least a conversation connected to it. Two voices. One frustrated. One defensive. The frustrated voice, believed to be Todd, sounds emotional, almost breaking at certain points. "I went along with it because I didn't want to lose everything, but that doesn't make it right." That sentence alone hit like a bomb. Because it suggested something deeper. Something complicated. Something that went beyond simple drama. But what really pushed things over the edge was what came after. Because the second voice, calm, controlled, reportedly responded with, "You're only saying this now because you're scared." Scared? Of what? That's the question nobody can answer. At least, not yet. Because immediately after that audio spread, fans went into full investigation mode. Breaking down every word. Every pause. Every tone shift. And once again, the internet split into two sides. Defend. Or question. But in the middle of all that chaos, something even more shocking started circulating late last night. A rumor. At first, it seemed too extreme to be real. But then multiple sources began echoing it. There may be more recordings. Not just conversations, but full, unedited files. Moments that were never meant to be seen or heard by anyone outside a very small circle. And according to one insider, at least one of those files has already been shared with a third party. Someone outside the situation. Someone who now holds something that could shift this entire narrative in one move. No confirmation on what's in it. No proof that it exists. But the fact that multiple sources are saying the same thing. That's enough to make people nervous. Because if that file is real, then everything we've seen so far might just be the beginning. And just when people thought the situation couldn't get any more intense, a new development dropped this morning that has everyone asking one question: who else is about to be pulled into this? That question didn't just linger, it triggered the next explosion. Because early this morning, a new wave of information hit the internet, and this time it wasn't vague, it wasn't blurry, and it wasn't coming from random accounts. It came from someone claiming to be directly connected to the situation, someone who, according to multiple insiders, had been quiet this entire time, until now. And what they revealed, it shifted everything. They didn't just hint at tension. They didn't just repeat rumors. They described a pattern, ongoing, complicated, and far more layered than anything the public had seen so far. According to this source, what's been leaking is only a fraction of what actually exists behind closed doors. And then came the line that froze everyone: this was never meant to stay private forever. That one sentence changed the tone instantly. Because now, people aren't just asking what happened. They are asking how long it's been happening, and who else knew. And that's when the situation took another sharp turn. Because as this insider's claims started spreading, a new clip surfaced, different from the others. Cleaner audio. Less chaotic. But somehow, more intense. It doesn't start with yelling. It starts with silence. Then a voice, low, steady, believed by many to be Todd saying something that immediately caught everyone off guard. I stayed because I thought it would change. That line alone hit like a shockwave. Because it suggested something deeper than drama. Something emotional. Something unresolved. But the response, that's what pushed everything over the edge. Another voice, calm, almost detached, believed to be Kandi Burruss, allegedly replying, it was never going to change. You just didn't want to accept it. No hesitation. No denial. Just a statement that felt final. And the moment that clip ended, the internet lost control. Fan pages exploded. Comment sections turned into battle zones. Some people said this confirmed everything, that there had been tension, pressure, and a breaking point that finally spilled into the public. Others argued the opposite, that the clip was taken out of context, edited to push a narrative that may not be fully true. But here's what nobody could ignore. The reactions didn't stop with fans. Other celebrities started weighing in, subtle at first, then louder. Cryptic tweets. Shady comments. Even a few reposts that seemed to hint at inside knowledge without directly saying anything. And every reaction added more fuel. Because now, this wasn't just a private situation gone public. It was a full-blown industry conversation. And behind the scenes, things were getting even more intense. Because according to multiple sources, there are now serious discussions happening about taking this situation beyond social media into something structured, documented, and permanent. Some are calling it an interview. Others are saying it could be a full project. A tell-all. A detailed breakdown of everything that's happened, every argument, every private moment, every piece of tension that led to this explosion. And if that happens, there's no controlling the narrative anymore. Because once everything is laid out like that, There's nowhere left to hide. But the most unsettling part. It's what insiders are saying about that rumored file, the one that hasn't been released yet. Because now, multiple sources are claiming it's no longer in the hands of either Todd Tucker or Kandi Burruss. It's with someone else. A third party. Someone who, according to these claims, has no reason to protect either side. And if that's true, then the situation just became unpredictable. Because that means the next move doesn't belong to the people at the center of the story. It belongs to whoever holds that file. And no one knows what they're going to do with it. Release it, sell it, or use it as leverage. But one thing is clear. If it comes out, everything changes. Reputations, narratives, public perception, all of it. And as of right now, neither side has stepped forward with a clear, direct statement to shut any of this down completely. No full denial. No full confirmation. Just silence, and fragments, and a story that keeps growing bigger by the hour. Because this was never just one moment. It was a build-up. A series of hidden tensions finally breaking into the open. And now that it's out, there's no putting it back. And the most chilling part. We still haven't seen the biggest reveal yet. Because if insiders are right about what's coming next, this entire situation could flip in a way nobody is ready for. If you've been watching this unfold from the start, then you already know, this isn't just another piece of celebrity drama you scroll past and forget. This is one of those stories that keeps evolving, keeps escalating, and keeps pulling you back in, because every new detail changes everything. And right now, we're still in the middle of it. Because with every passing hour, new leaks are being hinted at,